Welcome to today's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Jeff Bilbrey, CEO of Leasepath. Thanks for joining me, Jeff.
Hey, Jesse. Pleasure to be here on a Friday afternoon with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just, what do we got? I mean, it's 5:30 Eastern time. I feel like we should maybe have a cocktail, but I gotta be somewhat
We'll do that after the
I suppose.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Some people actually mentioned where it's like when these things end, like you should have like bourbon, and it's like, well, what do I tell the people that want to do them at like 8 in the morning? And they're just like, well, it's you, and I'm like, thanks a lot.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you are by the fireplace, so it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So Jeff, for the people who might not be too familiar with you in equipment finance, could you just talk a little bit about yourself and your past experience?
Sure. Yeah, as you said, I'm a CEO at Leasepath, and I've been in this industry or related to this industry since 2004 in various kinds of ways. But I was on the board of directors for my prior company for a while, and then actually left the board so I could come on as management with another company, and really been working at all sides of this business and very much from a global perspective as well. So I've had the chance to travel to Europe, to Asia, across North and Central America. So I've seen quite a bit, been around a little bit, but I still have a lot to learn, and this industry teaches me new things every day. So, and it's part of what gets me up every day to come to work.
No, and I can absolutely relate to that. I think you said 2004?
Mm-hmm.
2005, and I still learn stuff. I mean, that's one of the other reasons I enjoy doing this is meeting people sometimes for the first time, and it's like, well, what do you guys do? Where is that? And it's like, okay. So aside from trying to help other people learn more about individuals and organizations, it also affords me that too. So
absolutely.
So let's talk Leasepath, if you don't mind. Let's talk about your organization, how long you've been around, what product type, etc.
Yeah. So I joined Leasepath in February last year, but the company's been around for quite a long time. The founders actually came from the APAC organization. Before it was Sword APAC, it was APAC, and they came over to Canada from the UK and founded the operation for APAC there. After a while, the founders left and they started their own thing, and it was consulting for a while, and it was not quite product. It was more sort of, let's call it accelerators for a while. But then the Microsoft Dynamics platform really started to mature, and that's what they were comfortable working with. And so they put two and two together, and they said, I've got lots of industry knowledge. I love finance originations and the software there, and I love this platform. And so they just put it together. In the last 6-7 years, has really been the maturation of all those years of experience and also the experience of the product itself. So what we have today is we've got a very good finance origination system built on Microsoft Power Platform is what you'll hear it called, or Dynamics environment. We have had a lot of fun in the last year, a lot of growth. People are seeing the name out there a little bit, and I think it's just because we're having conversations like this. And we really enjoy having these conversations. We've doubled our headcount size, actually more than that. We've doubled our customer count in the last year, and I think it's a good time to be in this industry, and we're fortunate to be winning some deals and having some happy customers.
Oh, and I definitely have seen the splashes that you guys have been making, in the past, I want to say 12 to 18 months. When I was in my previous organization, all of a sudden it's like, wait, what's going on here? It's like lease. Okay, nice. And Sean's a great resource. He's very active in the industry.
Oh,
so I got to make sure I give him a shout out too, because he does a great job, in everything he does for you guys.
He absolutely does. He's a great evangelist, and we're lucky to have him.
So as far as I want to touch a little bit on like the front end origination, right? So when I got into equipment finance in 2005, I was with OSG, and we had partnerships with different software companies, but it was more on the back end. And at the time, there was more of like end-to-end platforms seemed to be like they were the vision, because people didn't want data into disparate systems. They wanted that like one throat to choke, one vendor that handles everything. And then what the industry is now telling me that's no longer the case. So, well, any thoughts on that? I mean, obviously you guys have been predominantly on the front end, so
yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, I think just like you, I've been at this for a long time, and it's not even just this industry; it's other industries as well, where it was people wanted toolkits and accelerators, then they wanted core systems, and then they wanted end-to-end systems, and then the end-to-end systems had to get broken apart. So where are we today? And I think I'll reference the BTPI that the ELFA Foundation puts out, that fantastic piece of basically consulting research about what's happening in the industry from a technology perspective. And I think the quote that Mike Baez used, or some others as well, is "death to the monolith," which sounds really scary. It means the end-to-end system of wholesale, originations, back office, lease and loan accounting, all that. If it's all one platform, death to the monolith sounds scary. But I think that we've actually evolved even further than that, which means that it's not about whether you have an end-to-end system, it's about the monolith of technology that was closed. Closed means I can't do integrations very easily, or if my vendor gave me something, I can't build on additional components very easily. Or if I do, heaven forbid, the vendor does an upgrade and my stuff doesn't upgrade and it's all broken. And for those reasons that we've all seen and experienced throughout our lives, whether you're on the vendor side or if you're on the buyer side, commercial finance companies, we have seen that play out many times over. So death to the monolith means, from a technology perspective, that it shouldn't be a closed system. It should be very open. And this is where we at Leasepath, I think we play kind of nicely, because we're on a super open architecture, that Microsoft platform. It plays well with anything. It's got plugins for Salesforce or AWS. It has lots of, call it app store type things that you can plug in. They have fantastic components for robotic process automation, RPA, and AI, and blockchain, and all this stuff. And it's just there for you to plug on and bolt on. In fact, a lot of our customers that have bigger customers with big IT teams, they love our solution because, in fact, they have their own development environment. Microsoft Dynamics, they can develop all of their things that they want right alongside of it. And so, in fact, death to the monolith, this trend, shouldn't be scary to the monoliths out there, as long as their architecture is open. And I think that that's what it means. I think we're going to see a lot more of that, where people are going to be looking for platform technologies, open architectures, and by the way, how do I do upgrades without breaking everything at the same time? That's the kind of stuff that we need to be paying attention to.
What are you talking about? That's blasphemy. You can't have an upgrade that doesn't, upgrades don't break previous stuff. Come on.
Well, in my prior lives, they almost always did. We do quarterly. This isn't an advertisement about Leasepath, but we do quarterly upgrades, Jesse, and they just work every single time. And nothing breaks. The customer config doesn't break. So finally, we're finding architectures and solutions where you crack that nut, that upgrades actually do honestly work every single time. So it's kind of
interesting.
Nice.
And now that's recorded. So you were on official record with that.
I guess.
So just remember that, people.
To all of our customers, the upgrades work. We promise they will.
What were some of the phrases that you used to use? What is this bug? Bug's a free custom. That's a free custom.
It's a feature, yeah.
Feature. It's fantastic. So now you mentioned like the Salesforce integration and stuff like that, because I know that when I was selling lease accounting, that was big. I mean, Salesforce has kind of been in there for a while, but you guys, are you hooking more into it where they're using that more of a CRM as opposed to the dynamic CRM? Or
so we've had situations where some of our customers have a lot of sales activity in other CRM systems. It could be Sugar, it could be Pipe, it could be Salesforce. Right. And those are great. And people often say, I've got a great front office solution because I've got a CRM. The reality is that depending on how you talk about it, front office to middle office, those sales leads have to go somewhere, and a lot of activity has to happen on it. And that's where those other systems don't do quite as much. And so we can actually, yes, we can pull from those. Most of our customers eventually choose to retire them because they get a great CRM when they buy our system. It's Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And so
Yeah.
I always tease and I say, if you're a Scotch or a bourbon person, it's kind of like saying you're a Salesforce or a Microsoft Dynamics person. They're both excellent systems, and the industry needs all of what each of them have to offer. But while we do start some customers that come from a CRM, and then we take care of all the rest of the pricing, quoting, underwriting, doc prep, docs in, docs out, etc., funding, eventually they say, wait, you've got this whole CRM and it's built for purpose for the industry. Why don't I just use it? So that's kind of what tends to happen. But we are relatively agnostic. We don't care. If you got something that works for you, we just want to enable it and make it better.
No, and that's an admirable approach to business, as opposed to trying to be forceful and being like, no, you have to take this, as opposed to, okay, let's think about that. Let's talk about that. And then as your requirements and everything else are like, well, why are we doing this again? And it's like, well, because that's what you told us the scope was. So
yeah, no, we in the same vein as death to the monolith, which is give you open architectures and options. That's really our approach to it. All of our customers are unique. And you think, oh, we're in finance origination, specifically in commercial finance or asset finance, equipment finance. Everything is the same. And we know in this industry, nothing is the same from one finance organization to another. It's so unique. And so we see an awful lot, and that means just we've got to be flexible, and our system has to be flexible. And our ears are very flexible too, because we listen to the customers and make sure that we understand, okay, this is what's good for your business. We'll help you get there.
no, and that's fantastic. I mean, I was on someone else's show last week, and they were talking about, what advice do you really have for technology companies out there? And I'm like, core competency, stick to what you're good at, perfect it, and then maybe go swim upstream a little bit else or like that. But you don't necessarily need to be all things to all people at all times. I mean, let's take what is it, strategery? Is that the word?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I like your strategery.
So, one thing I've heard you talk about before is the intelligent workplace, Jeff. Can you just kind of walk me through that, or walk people through what you mean by that?
Yeah, we're all of us at Leasepath, we're very passionate about this, because it's not something that is about our company. It's actually something that's about the industry and what we think that we should all be helping each other do, and that is to achieve the intelligent workplace. We've identified 5 core pillars for the intelligent workplace. It's an intelligent customer experience and a user experience that is differentiated based on who you are, where you are, and what you're doing, which means it could change throughout the course of the day. A truly digital platform, and I love to talk about digital, and digital doesn't just mean a phone or a tablet or the web or the cloud or a browser. Digital means that it's personalized and adaptable. I'll say those 2 things, personalized and adaptable. And in order to achieve that, the 3rd pillar is required, which is a core modern solution, meaning that it's easy to configure, it's easy to integrate with, it's easy to upgrade, and that helps you become digital because it's personalized, adaptable, available everywhere. The 4th pillar is a modern BI infrastructure and a modern data estate. So when we think of the data estate, that means all the different data that you have throughout your organization, but how do you bring that together and make it accessible everywhere? So that modern data estate, really important. And then what would the 5th pillar be if we're in the finance industry and we care about risk a lot, right? So how do we manage risk and do it carefully? And that means throughout the entire life cycle. And it's not just in originations or underwriting, but it's managing, of course, throughout the entire life cycle, all the way from cradle to grave of those contracts. That whole concept brought together is the intelligent workplace. So we like to say the intelligent workplace is great business thinking layered on top of really good technology, and not the other way around. Technology doesn't drive this. Technology darn well better enable it, though. And so we talk about this. Now, we align to each of those 5 pillars at Leasepath, and we profess all of those 5 pillars to our customer about the intelligent workplace, so that we're helping them on their journey. It's not just a digital journey. We hear so much about that post-COVID, during COVID. I've got years of acceleration on digital, And digital is a key piece of it, but we actually have to go beyond just that thinking to achieve the intelligent workplace, which allows us to be adaptable and flexible as a business, allows us to touch our customers and relate to those customers in new ways,
Right.
and to grow and be competitive. So that's what we say the intelligent workplace is.
Now, did you come up with this, like these 5 pillars yourself, or was this a course or something you read about?
No, this is something that has been evolving over time. You know how these things happen where you just start to see pieces fall into place.
Oh yeah.
And last year, these are the pieces that we saw fall into place. And so we're talking about it as the intelligent workplace.
Interesting. Well, if you're ever looking to document that or write that, I'll put a plug in for Brooks Publishing Company, just throwing it out there.
Fantastic. I'd love to. There's obviously, that as we talk about each of those, there's a lot that goes on there. So we could certainly spend a lot of time discussing the intelligent workplace.
Well, that's how it always comes. It's just a thought, an idea, but it sounds to me like you've definitely thought through it, and that's awesome. I mean, it's definitely relatable, and I appreciate you sharing that, experience. And actually, when you're going to be up, are you going to be up in Minnesota with me in June?
Yeah, I'll see you there.
So I appreciate you and Leasepath sponsoring that event up there. I think that would be a perfect thing to talk about on that panel. So
that's fantastic. You bet. Happy to.
Excellent. Need more forward-thinking people such as yourself, Jeff, as opposed to I got the best tool and you're just going to use it. It's like, no, it doesn't really work that way. Sorry. But so I've been always asking people that I have on here just to kind of give me a little fun fact about yourself, if you don't mind. Something that people might not know, and the fact that you like to come up with different things like that is pretty amazing.
Oh. Well, you mentioned Minnesota, so I have a little bit of a conflict coming up there to Minnesota because it's the day before my birthday. That's actually my 50th birthday, and the fun fact is that I'm training for a half iron triathlon because I want to prove that when I'm 50, I could kick my ass as a 40 or a 20 or a 30-year-old. So that's the fun fact is I'm training for a half iron triathlon and working hard at it. So
when is that?
It's going to be in the fall. So I've got some time because I'm still working here. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I turned 40 in August, so almost directly 10 years apart, and I am not training for that. So you could probably, kick my butt and all that stuff. But hey, I would at least try. So, and just kind of wrapping up here, I always ask people, so obviously you said a lot of things in regards to what you're doing and what your organization Leasepath is doing out there. Of all the different software providers out there, Jeff, why Leasepath?
I looked at Leasepath from a distance for a couple of years, and I just thought that they were the shining gem that nobody knew about. And so I actually reached out and said, I'd love to join you guys and help on the journey. Leasepath has, I think we're on a really neat technology platform. We're a tiny company, but we've got $160 billion Microsoft backing us all the time. We have a fresh approach to how finance origination should work and what we can do for efficiencies. And we actually are just a bunch of nice people. There's nobody that has themselves on a pedestal anywhere. We just love to work and love our customers. And so it's been working. So I think why Leasepath is we're just having fun right now.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's definitely a fun journey. And, you're definitely the forward-thinking leader that can not only, focus on what you guys are doing now, but also look to the future to see what's next. And I know I'm excited for, the future of what your organization is going to be doing to the equipment finance marketplace, man.
No, thank you very much. Yep, it's going to be a fun years to come for sure.
Nope, absolutely, Jeff. And once again, I appreciate your time this afternoon and look forward to seeing you up in June.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jesse.
Have a good one. Take care.